So ladies and gentlemen, it's time for another Matplotlib tutorial. This time we're going to do a dot plot. So if you go to curbal.com, Curbal and import and then Python, you go to dot plot, click on dot plot, and this is the tutorial that we're going to go through. We will go through the first part, but then we will walk you what else you can find on the piece of code that you have there. So this is what we're going to do. Data comes from Makeover Monday, 2018, week 48. It will take you to data world, and then you can download the data. And here you have all the types of visualizations. The visualization you see here was made by a Tableau user, but I don't have the name and I couldn't find it. So if it's you, let me know and I'll credit you below. Okay, let's get started. So the first thing that we need to do is to call in the usual suspects, pandas, to work out the data, Matplotlib to plot it. Okay, so the data is going to be, once you download it, you can use read CSV from the pandas library to actually get the data in. And we're going to use the column city, item, cost, and category. Okay. So if you just print data set, it'll show you the data. As you can see, we have two categories, party night and date night. So this is a data set where they measure the cost of a party night or a date night in different cities. And what we're going to explore today is just date night. So we're going to filter this data set by date night. We don't want to have everything. So this is date night. And now as you can see, they measure cinema entry, dinner, and drinks at dinner in different cities. And what we're going to do now, first of all, we don't want to see all the data anymore. We're going to pivot the table. So we can put the three types of activities for date night into columns. And for that, we're going to use pandas pivot table. And as you can see, I'm resetting the index. That basically means that I'm not having city as an index column. I'm just having it as a normal column. You can see the difference there. And you could have it as an index. It doesn't really matter, but I just want to show you different ways to work with the data. Now that we have these, what we want to do for our visualization, we want to be able to sort it. So we want to have the total cost for a date night and then sort it by it. So we did it on the bar charts video. I'm going to replicate it here so you can see how to filter by a, you create the total cost column, and then you can add df sum, and that will add the sum for all the columns available, all the numerical columns available. Axis 1, it means that for the columns. You could do that also for the rows. And then we want to sort it. So to sort, we do it the way that we've always done. So this sort values, total cost, and then you could have ascending, false, or true, depending on how you want to sort it, right? I prefer to have the highest value, highest up, but it depends on the story that you want to tell. Maybe you want to say, hey, go to party here because it's the cheapest city to party or to have a date on. Cool. Okay. Now that we have these, what we need to do is define the axis. So if we go to here, you will see that we have the x-axis is the cost, and we have segmented it by the activity, which is cinema entry, dinner, and drinks at dinner. And then here we have the cities, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to plot these in 3 different plots. There are other ways to do it. I'll show you at the end of the video. But for now, we're going to do 1 plot each. And then obviously it's going to be 1 figure, but 1 figure that contains 3 plots. Okay? Multi-plot in Matplotlib. Extremely useful. Let me show you. So first, we define the x and y. The y-axis, if you remember, was the city, and the x for the first plot is going to be, for example, dinner. You can pick anyone you like. So you save the values. This is x and this is y. And now for Matplotlib, this is where the interesting things start happening. Matplotlib is so powerful. It's crazy. So we define the figure, And then this figure is going to have 3 plots, 3 axes. And it's going to be called axis 1, axis 2, and axis 3. And you can see here there are the subplots. Everything is going to be in one row, but we're going to have like 3 columns. And each column is going to be AX1, AX2, and AX3. Perfect. So you can see them here. 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. Now, we're going to define the first plot, and it looks like this. AX1 plot is the first one. We're going to have dinner as the x-axis, and then we're going to have city as the y-axis. The marker is going to be a circle, and then the size of the marker, the line width, and then the color. Let me run this so you see what it does. It's actually not sorted. Maybe we'll sort when we have all of them, we'll see. So you see, we have AX1, and it put it in AX1 box in the first plot. We are going to put a title for that, right? And we want to have the values, the data labels on the balls, otherwise we won't be able to. I mean, you can guess, but you don't want to guess, right? So we need to actually loop for, do you remember the annotate function that we've gone through a few times? So we need to loop through that. So we need to tell the annotate function where the x and the y values are. So we're going to do for I and j, you could do x and y, that would be fine too. In zip, if you remember in other videos, what it does is it takes 2 lists and iterates them row by row in the order that they are in. Extremely useful function. So we're going to iterate. The I is going to be our x, and the G is going to be our city, so the Y value, right? So it says, let me show you what this does. This is actually quite cool. Print I and G. If you are unsure of what things does, you can print them in Matplotlib and Python, and it's just so useful. So the first data point is going to be 69 Barcelona. 69, where is Barcelona here? I'm blind. Oh, here. 69 Barcelona, this is the first one. The next one is 75 Hong Kong, 75 Hong Kong. So you see, we're identifying the center of the balls. And this is the coordinates for our annotate function. So the annotate function, if you remember, it was like this. I'm going to copy it and we'll go through it. So the first one is the text, the label that you want to put. And the label that we want to put is the I, which is the x value. So we want to have a $sign, convert the number into a text, add the $sign, and put it in where it should be. Next one is the x and y coordinates. So it's our I and j, right? And then we have a offset, if you want it. You are going to always use an offset to just put it exactly where you want it. The color is going to be white, and the font size is going to be 8. And you run it, and then you can see, ooh, our offset is a little bit off. So -2 maybe. There you have it. So there you have all the numbers in there. Very, very, very good. Let me see why this thing is not sorting. You see that it's not being sorted here? Is because it's just not being stored in the memory data frame. Right, there you see here, they are being stored. We actually want to have it the other way around. So we're going to do, you can either put this true or just ignore it. But if you put true, people will see what you're doing. Right, there we have it. Beautiful. Now, we need to do this for the other two. So let me copy it and go back. Okay, so now we have AX2, which is drinks at dinner, and AX3, which is cinema, but we need to define them first. We haven't done it yet. So I'm going to define them here, and then run it. And then you see that we get the plots in there. We should also get the, probably this is offsetting them too much, exactly. So we need to do -2 and -2 on all of them. Kind of now, no, really. Yeah, something like that. You can then play with this as much as you like. Good. So now, the spines, the frame, we want to just make it, let me show you how that works. So we say the top, the right, and the left, and the bottom set to invisible, so visible false. And then we want to set a grid on the Y and the X. Let me show you what this does. So you see the grid, this is one, and this is the other one. And we want to have different line widths, like you see there. And we want to repeat these for the other axis. There you have them. And then they should behave the exact same way. Perfect. Now, the other thing that we want to do is we want to put the label on the top. So I'm going to copy everything now, because now you know what we're doing. So here you have the x-axis at the top for the axis 1, 2, and 3. So if we do it, you see that it moves here. Beautiful. We want to fix the limits of the chart. We want them to start at 0, all of them, because they start differently. So put it there, 0 to 160, gorgeous. And then we want to make sure we format the x-axis so it has dollar signs on it. So we make sure that people understand they are dollars. You can see that there. So this is set major formatter. We've used this before. And then the last thing that we want to do is remove these ticks. Do you see them there? We don't want that. Right. And there you have our beautiful chart. It took me forever to do this. But once you understand how it works, it's just very, very easy. You just have to figure out how Matplotlib works, and you can create absolutely anything. Okay, now, let me show you what I did on the rest of the code in here, because I have more stuff in here. So what you can see here is, this part is what I've shown you in the video. Here is that I create a function that creates one of the plots. So circle plot data, this will create one of the dot plots. And then here, I use the function to, with parameters, define the different positions, right? The different charts, the different plots within the figure. And the next one is, okay, this is my experiments, So I said, okay, I don't want to hard code these. Can I use a function to feed the function? And yes, you can. You can actually have a loop. You can see it here that goes through the column values and the colors and recreates the function. And also, I wanted to see, okay, can I just create it without a function? Just have a loop that creates everything at once? And yes, you can. With these, you can actually have a loop that goes in through the colors and the column names and generates the plot. Perhaps this is the most obscure of all of them, if you're new with Matplotlib, but definitely is the one that, if you know Matplotlib, has the clearest code, I would say, because it goes straight to the point. But for me as a beginner, it was very useful to start from the basics of how you create a Matplotlib plot and then start to improve it with functions, loops, things like that. So I really recommend you to go through the rest of the code to see how you can do these things. You will learn a lot. Okay, so this is all for me for today. We will do another Matplotlib video in the next video next week. See you then.